What drives a seemingly ordinary man to become a monster? In the quiet streets of Reno, Nevada, a darkness lurked beneath the surface of suburban life, a predator who would transform from a repair worker and family man into a serial attacker who would shatter countless lives. This is the chilling story of James Michael Beller, a man whose hidden violent impulses would ultimately lead to the most devastating crime imaginable. James Michael Beller was not the stereotypical image of a serial predator. At 27, he was a married father, a former service member, and a pipe fitter with a blue belt in martial arts. To the outside world, he appeared unremarkable, another face in the crowd of Sparks, Nevada. But beneath this facade, a dangerous predator was waiting to strike. The first warning signs were subtle. In 2001, he had been arrested for threatening a neighbor with a knife, a glimpse into the violent potential that would later consume him. But no one could have predicted the terrifying path he would soon follow. Beller's method was calculated and cold. He prowled the University of Nevada area, searching for vulnerable targets. His attacks followed a disturbing pattern, breaking into homes, attacking women, and taking a macabre trophy, their underwear. Each invasion was a calculated act of violation, a psychological warfare that went beyond physical assault. On that fateful January night, in 2008, Beller's predatory instincts found their ultimate target. Through the living room window of an off-campus apartment, he spotted Brianna Denisona, 19-year-old college student, sleeping peacefully on a couch. The unlocked front door was an invitation he couldn't resist. Forensic evidence would later reveal the horrifying sequence of events. Beller entered the apartment silently, moving through the space with predatory precision. The red spots on Brianna's pillow told a brutal story. She had been forcibly subdued, her screams muffled as she fought against her attacker. What drove Beller to select Brianna? Was it random chance, or something more sinister? Investigators would discover that this was not his first attack. Multiple women in the area had been violently assaulted, with Beller taking underwear as a twisted trophy from each victim. Beller's background was a complex tapestry of potential warning signs. Kicked out of military service for drug use, prone to unpredictable behavior, with a martial arts background that gave him physical advantage, was the perfect, undetected predator. His own boss would later testify about his increasingly erratic behavior, noting how Beller seemed to become more unstable after Brianna's body was found. When confronted about the murder, Beller's response was chilling. He reportedly told his boss that Brianna had it coming, a statement that revealed the depth of his psychological detachment from human empathy. The most shocking aspect of Beller's capture was how close he came to escaping justice. It wasn't sophisticated police work that ultimately trapped him, but a twist of familial betrayal. His own wife, upon finding multiple pairs of women's underwear in their truck, chose to cooperate with authorities. During his trial, Beller's defense attempted to paint him as a victim of circumstance, highlighting his troubled past. But the evidence was overwhelming. Forensic experts connected his DNA to multiple attacks, and victims courageously testified, facing their attacker in court. The case exposed critical flaws in the criminal justice system. Beller had been arrested before in 2001, but was not in the DNA database, a gap that allowed him to continue his predatory behavior unchecked. This revelation led to the implementation of Brianna's law in Nevada, mandating DNA collection from all felons. More controversially, the case raised uncomfortable questions about urban safety. College students, traditionally seen as part of a protected community, suddenly found themselves vulnerable. The aftermath saw a surge in weapon purchases, particularly pepper spray and personal safety devices. Beyond the legal proceedings, the human toll was immeasurable. The Denison family, already scarred by the earlier suicide of Brianna's father, was devastated. Bridget Denison, who had already lost her husband, now lost her daughter in the most horrific circumstances imaginable. Brianna herself became more than just a victim. She was a vibrant 19-year-old studying child psychology, who had traveled the world, loved her family deeply, and had an entire life ahead of her. Her murder was not just a crime, but a profound theft of potential. On July 30th, 2010, James Michael Beller was sentenced to death, a rare but fitting punishment for his multiple violent crimes. He received 4 additional life sentences for previous attacks, ensuring he would never harm another person. But the most controversial epilogue might be society's response. Instead of addressing the root causes of such violence, many chose the simplistic solution of personal armament. Pepper spray sales skyrocketed, gun purchases increased, and a culture of fear began to replace genuine community safety initiatives. Why do seemingly ordinary men transform into monsters? What creates a predator like James Michael Beller? These questions remain unanswered, hanging in the air like a persistent, uncomfortable fog. One thing became clear. In the shadows of Reno, a predator had hunted, and a community would never be the same again.